Hiya and welcome back, and this time I want to talk about this manhwa. I'll just go to the side. The solo leveling manhwa, a Korean manhwa, and this is for those who still haven't read it yet, but who's interested, because I want to tell you a bit about the story. And for those who has read it, what can you say about it? It's really a really good manhwa for me, and I'll tell you why soon. So the story mainly focuses about this main characters, or our protagonist Sung Jin-woo. He is a hunter, and in their world there are gates that have opened. If you are familiar with RPGs, if you're playing that online RPGs or offline console RPGs, then you're very familiar with leveling up and dungeons and stuff. So I will just talk geek for a moment. Dungeons appear, or gates appear in their world, and some people have awakened powers which turns them into hunters. So they are ranked from E to S rank hunters, E being the lowest and S being the highest. So Sung Jin-woo is an E rank hunter, and once you're ranked, that remains your rank forever and you can't level up. So if you see the one above here, right here, that is how the story starts. He starts as an ordinary guy who just gets by with hunting, joining raids to go into gates because he needs the money for his mother's hospitalization. So what happened to his mom is that she went into a coma, because that usually happens to family members of those who are awakened as a hunter. So he needs to maintain the bills because his father is missing, and he is the sole breadwinner, being the eldest. He has a little sister, and so he went into a gate with a guild and they went exploring. But unfortunately, this was a double dungeon. So if you have seen this very famous photo or face of this image right here, the statue, this is a statue in the manhwa solo leveling, and I didn't know it was from that manhwa before. So I've always seen this in t-shirts and in memes, so now I know where it's from, and you guys know where it's from. So entering the double dungeon, there is a condition that should be met in order to pass the dungeon. Unfortunately, a lot of people died trying to pass it or trying to get away from it, and Sung Jin-woo is the last man standing inside the dungeon, which was like a good thing for him because he was reawakened. And when we say reawakened, it means that he has been bestowed another rank. So instead of an E rank, he could go up to an A rank or an S rank. But that is not all. Stay for part 2. And yeah, I'm here, so welcome back to part 2 of this. If you haven't watched it yet, you can go back and search for part 1 in my profile. I'm doing this straight, so there is it's just all there together. So I was talking about him being reawakened, and Sung Jin-woo was reawakened and was given special powers. So like I've said in my first video, that when you are bestowed a rank, you stay in that rank like forever. That's gonna be your rank. So if you're bestowed an S rank, then lucky you are one of the most powerful hunters in the world. But since he was just an E rank before, he was pretty weak. All he did was just carry stuff for people. He tried joining other guilds just to gain money in order to provide for his family. So after that double dungeon experience, he ended up in the hospital because he thought that he had died, because that's what happened to most of the people that he was with. Only a few were able to run away to safety, thanks to him, by the way. It was all his intellect. So he reawakened in a hospital, and they tested his rank, and the police went to interview him and asked about what happened, and most of the people died. And when they tested him, his powers were still low. He was still an E rank hunter. But he starts seeing these messages that only he can see, like in front of him. Like, it's called the system message, and basically it's like, if you have watched Reincarnated as a Slime and other isekai animes, it's like that. When you there is like a message popping on top of there, if you played online RPGs, and it tells him that he is level 1. It gives him his stats, and provides him with his skills and stuff like that, which never happens before, because despite being hunters and despite having gates, they still remain in the normal world. So this was something new to him, and he started exploring with this, and he found out that he also has inventory that he can store items. There's also a store that he can buy items from, like healing potions and stuff. And so he keeps this as a secret, and then he tries going into another dungeon and was able to succeed defeating the enemies by himself. And he found out that he can level up, hence the name solo leveling. So as you can see from the picture, it starts out with him being a timid boy, and then he transforms into this very strong and guy. Oh, and before the dungeon, by the way, he was confined into the hospital because of all the damage that has been done to his body. So his first quest was to do push-ups, sit-ups, and running, which helped him develop his body. So that's why it turned into like that. Alright, so this is gonna be part 3, or the last part of my review. So as you can see, Sung Jin-woo starts from this little timid guy who could barely make it out alive into this very, very strong personality of a character. And what I've told you in part 1 and part 2 was only like the first chapter of the series. It has 197 chapters. I'm sorry, 179 chapters. I had that the other way around. 179 chapters and 21 extra chapters, like side stories. And it's so good. Like when I started it, I wasn't able to put my phone down. I knew I had to finish it at once because it was that good. It was that engrossing. And you can say, yeah, he is like an overpowered character, but he is not immediately overpowered in a sense, because he has to level up in order to get there, and he has to go through some trials. And what is nice about it is, like, because Reincarnated as a Slime is one of my favorite animes, because he is able to earn friends along the way, because before he was, maybe, let's say, he was like a loner and all he wanted was just to earn money, but now he's able to gain friends and followers, and while defeating monsters, he's also able to get them as allies in a sense. So would I recommend you to read it? Yes, of course, read it. If you have nothing to do and you're fighting for something good to read, then go ahead and read it. Not only does it have a good story, it also has great artwork. When I say great, I said super great artwork, and they're turning it into an anime. So, catch up on it while you're waiting for the anime to come out. And there is already a trailer. I'm not sure, because there are rumors that say it will not, or it will be discontinued, but I really hope that it gets animated, because I want to see this in animation. Also, Sung Jin-woo's character isn't bad at all. He is not hateable, because usually when you have overpowered characters, you tend to dislike them, because they all have it, that they are handed with that power immediately, like a silver spoon in their mouth, and so he is a likable person, because even though he is powerful, he stays humble, and there is like a bit of like a conceited side to him, but that he only does that for everyone's good, and he always choose to like take care of everyone, especially the ending. You won't expect that he'll do that. And also the side stories are pretty amazing, because spoiler, he has, or the side stories are about his son, teenage son. So it's like 2 generations of story. So if you have read it, tell me